Since there was no show tonight, there'll be no cold open.
Gentlemen, lower your beverages.
NXT UK, no toast for you.
Welcome to the NXT No Show.
The Tea Party fell.
Support, no DQ.
Welcome everybody to the NXT Party for the non-episode 75 of NXT UK. I'm your host, the Rated R reviewer Stefan Osborne, joined as always by the General Jerry Slaughter.
Good evening, wrestling fans.
And tonight our special guest is the Cleaver, Colin Andrew. How's it going, Colin?
Oh, it's going. It's going. How's everybody doing?
Superb.
I mean,
Superb.
all right, but honestly, I'm really no different than when I started watching the show to where I am now after the hour of absolutely nothing.
We knew what we were getting.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but oh god.
It's why we even set up our own end of the year rewards because, well, we knew we weren't getting a show this week.
Okay, so last year we had the same problem with NXT. And I feel like we're going to have this problem next week when NXT's on New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be just a bunch of announcements of their end-of-the-year winners and probably matches from NXT takeovers that have never been aired on television.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. NXT UK could have done that. And they teased it. The very beginning of this show, we had two matches that we saw. Toni Storm matches, yes. First one, Toni Storm and Rhea Ripley, though. So, right?
Yeah.
Great match. Great match.
They tease that they're going to show matches from NXT UK takeovers throughout the show. And it's going to be like, cool, okay, at least if we're not going to get anything, at least it's going to be some matches that we've already seen, at least very good matches, and we could just plot along with the fast forward button and knock this shit out in 30 minutes. Oh my god, there was so much to this show.
But
There's so many things.
The problem is with that is they decided they're going to throw in promos for this coming pay-per-view with new interviews. So we had to stop.
Oh, it's so
and
frustrating.
watch.
Promos for everybody, and then combined promos, and then fucking tag team promos. But we're also going to show you bits and pieces of matches from these guys from a little bit ago, but not the whole match. Fucking Toni Storm got like 2 whole matches. 2 whole matches. And I believe we got at least one other full match. I can't remember which one it was, but this did not carry through the rest of the show. The rest of the show ended up being so many segments. And they didn't even finish shit off. They started telling the story of the Tag Team Championship match at TakeOver Blackpool 2, but they didn't finish it off because we saw nothing of Imperium, of Eichner and Bartel. Nothing of them. I mean, it's so frustrating for there to be so much and so very, very little.
The stuff we were waiting on, we didn't get.
The one spot in this entire show that would have been worth watching, that would have been new and great. Because we did get some selfie promos from guys that were brand new we haven't seen before, but they didn't do anything. They didn't further anything, didn't hype you for anything, really. The baby faces, all of theirs were just them being like, oh, our year was great, and I felt so great when we won the titles, or I won the title, and blah, 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 you know, same old shit. The one spot where Nigel McGuinness was fed up, I guess, with Tom Phillips talking about the backhand chop that Walter gave to Jack Stars, because he saw it in the promo, and he's like, I don't want to see this again. Oh, it makes me cringe, because it's, you know, just so awful. And Nigel makes him watch it 2 more times and then proceeds to chop him in the chest, and mid chop they cut, and it's just the beep screen, the technical
Please
difficulty
stand
screen.
by.
Please stand by. And then the next time we see him, Tom Phillips has got his shirt undone and he's like rubbing on his chest. But you didn't get to see the chop, and you know the chop didn't happen, and it really sucks.
But it is still played off very well, and it's good comedy.
They were so funny together for this little bit of segment. Other than that, just nothing for this whole show. I've got so many notes that amount to absolutely dick all, but we will go through it. Before we do, Colin, are you as mad about this show as I am? Because I was pretty mad about NXT last year, but I'm pretty mad about this one too.
Yeah, I mean, it was, basically a concentrated highlight package of all the cool things that have happened in 2019, which there's nothing wrong with that if you're on YouTube, like we are. So subscribe to the channel. And yes, there was a bunch of promos. It really made no fucking sense. Like you said earlier, Stefan, they didn't cap anything off, so you were exposed to 100 different things and you have no idea what the hell's going on, especially if you're a newer viewer. I thought NXT last night did a better job handling things than they did today, but yeah, I mean, it was a legit highlight package with 2 full Tony Storm matches and a decent clip from Blackpool as well.
Well,
which we'll get into later.
The NXT show last night had the advantage of 6 brand new matches, whether they were recorded, last week at Full Sail or whether they were recorded last week after SmackDown. Be damned, they had 6 new matches for you, so they had a real show. True. Now next week they're going to have a problem with that, and we're probably going to shit on that show as well. So join us for What's NXT next week if you want to see us mad. But there are better ways to do this, and to just show, let's say, 4 matches from various NXT takeovers. They showed bits and pieces of just a portion of the tag team match to crown the champions, the inaugural champions.
That's what I was referring to a second ago.
But it wasn't the whole match. And I'm like, I don't care if it did take up half this show. I would rather see that whole match and then stomach the rest of this this bullshit with all the promos and everything else than just to see the end of it. And then, like, vid caps, not even matches from that point on, like vid caps of other matches. Oh, it was just awful to have to watch, to get nothing from it. We got, for next week, Ilya Dragunov versus Alexander Wolf in a no disqualification match, but that's next week, and we already knew that was coming. That wasn't even new information.
Nope.
Jerry, what'd you think?
I was pretty much indifferent. You fast forwarded through a good majority of it, but I listened to the promos once we got to those. But otherwise, it's almost like very much like a Simpsons did it episode. It's all stuff we had already seen before. It's some stuff we had already ranted and raved about. Granted, I still did tell you to rewind that part where James Drake nailed Tyler Bate on the outside of the ring off of Gibson's shoulders. That's
that Blackpool one.
Between that and like the drop kick to Trent Seven as he tried to go out there and make the save, like that solidified the grizzled young veterans winning the belts, and that was your crowning achievement right there. You're like, yes, it's happening. The one person who got a point off that.
Yeah, I didn't.
Well, speaking of Trent Seven, I do want to apologize. There was one other actually, this might have been the whole match. Trent Seven versus Noam Dar.
Yeah.
But that ended, and there was still 15 or 20 minutes left of the show. But that was the last match that you got to see, like it was a match. Everything from there was just recaps of matches. So you saw all the big spots. The one with Walter, there wasn't even but like 3 spots. They just kept replaying the chop and then the power bomb over and over, and making
I saw the drop kick too.
The basement drop kick into the corner.
Yes.
Well, they start the show, as I said, with Rhea Ripley versus Toni Storm from NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool. And then we see a video package for Toni Storm with a selfie promo. And she says she's going to become the first 2-time champ come Blackpool 2.
First and foremost, though, we want to congratulate Rhea Ripley for being voted on Aftermatch Wrestling and Instagram and Twitter for our polls.
As well as down in the comments.
Yep, and as well as down in the comments for Female Wrestler of the Year for NXT UK. So if you are watching this, congratulations to Nightmare.
Yep.
Another accolade to add.
Officially the very first or the inaugural
Female Wrestler
NXTea Party Best of the Year Female Superstar of the Year.
That's a mouthful.
Best Female Superstar
of the Year.
Hey,
there you
go. That's what she said.
But quickly we are on to Kaylee Ray. They give her a video promo. And this leads into them showing Toni Storm versus Kaylee Ray at NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff, where Kaylee Ray won. And this leads into a Piper Niven promo, where she talks about the triple threat match coming up at Blackpool 2. And this is leading into them, trying to sell Blackpool 2 and the women's triple threat match. This is great. This is a good formula. And then it all breaks down from there. Before I move on, any thoughts about the triple threat match coming up at Blackpool 2, Colin?
Well, I mean, I'm intrigued to see what happens. I mean, as much as we shit on Toni Storm, because it's just bad.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, honestly, in her performance in the 5-on-5-on-5 women's match of Survivor Series, wasn't bad. So as long as she honestly knocked off the shiny bullshit and a couple of those stupid little twerks that she does, I could see myself liking her again. But this is going to be like her first big thing back. Kaylee Ray's got a lot to prove, and Piper Niven, I mean, I don't know if you all saw, but she recently had a spell with Bell's palsy.
Yep.
So I don't know what kind of condition she'll be in, yada yada. But best wishes, by the way, if you're watching. But I think it's going to be good. We haven't seen a triple threat on a pay-per-view yet for NXT UK.
Well, speaking of Bell's palsy, I mean, it may not end up being a triple threat.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So, or if they want to keep a triple threat feel, they can insert somebody else like Ginny or something into there. But I don't feel that they need to if they have to pull Piper out.
Well, the last several weeks of programming have been taped.
Yes.
If anything, if they have to eliminate Piper Niven and they want to keep the match special, they'll probably make it into another ladder match for that night.
No, I don't think they do that.
Maybe a last woman standing or something.
But if they got to pull Piper Niven out, they're going to want to do it storyline wise, and in order to do that, you just wait until the next taping series.
NXT's not really like that though. Like the second Tommaso Ciampa had to drop his belt, or they had to take him out, they automatically said something about it.
Yeah, because he wasn't capable of doing a segment to put it into a storyline.
Yeah.
If they can have Piper Niven laid out in the back, kind of like they did Velveteen Dream, where he was laid out with his shirt torn, but they didn't show him getting beat up. There you go.
Exactly. Like the night of, like on if they had a pre-show or something.
Have her taken out. She'll be the female version of Travis Banks.
There are very few things that they can use to help that happens to a superstar that they can use to help tell a story if they have the opportunity. And unfortunately, injuries is one of them. And they can help further somebody else's story by having them be the one take her out, and then she gets time to recuperate, and then she'll come back later. But I mean, just little things like somebody getting a haircut.
I was about to say, Jenny and Jazzy could probably take her out in the back, and Johnny Satan, they'll approach Johnny Satan, Sid's Gala, and say it's like, well, looks like you need a third person for a match. It's like, nah, we'll just keep it one-on-one.
Maybe. Anyway, let's move on to a video cap of Travis Banks versus Jordan Devlin. I think only because it was the first Falls Count Anywhere match in NXT UK history. And for the jump that Travis Banks did from the bleachers down to Jordan Devlin, they didn't even show the ending of this match. They just showed clips from it.
Yeah.
And then that jumped like 3 or 4 times. Fuck, man. The fucking train came off the rails here. Seriously. They were... And we had to watch 2 Toni Storm matches. Like 2 full Toni Storm matches. Well, we didn't have to. I
We
fast-forwarded
fast
through 'em.
forwarded.
But still. And then the train comes off the rails. Any notes about this?
I initially thought it's like what episode was this? Because I kept on thinking it was the first one we had Chris Mace on for, but that was the one prior to that where there wasn't a finish that led to this match. So
this match was still a few episodes later too.
Yeah,
I had even forgotten that this match had fucking happened.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, was this a takeover? But I'm like, no, Travis Banks hasn't made it to a takeover.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about it too. I mean, it's a Travis Banks match, so.
So let's move into the tag teams. And before we start off what they did, let's start off what we did. We put up a poll for Tag Team of the Year. Best Tag Team of the Year.
It was close between Bartel and Eichner.
It came down to it.
Yep.
I think on Facebook in Armbar, Bartel and Eichner had it by 2. They had it 6-4 against the Grizzled Young Veterans. But outside of Armbar, Grizzled Young Veterans just tore up.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody voted for the Grizzled Young Veterans outside of there. I think there was 1 vote for Gallus.
Yeah, 1 vote for Gallus.
But other than that, yeah, we got to
That
give
was
James,
Hey, Colin.
James Drake and Zach Gibson have won our best tag team of the year. Grizzled Young Veterans.
And
So they get a video promo.
And they also got a
we were going to get into that later.
Okay, well.
But they get a video promo from the Download Festival. Now, this was literally just the full, them coming out and talking. Well, actually, no, they cut it to bits a little bit. They made it a little bit easier to handle because the crowd was kind of indifferent to them until he started calling them names.
Yeah.
But then they just cheered it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even remember what he called them. It was definitely a British.
He called them a bunch of like dirty goths, pretty much.
Yeah, something. Anyway, so they show that, and then they transition that into a short replay of Grizzled Young Veterans versus Mustache Mountain at Takeover Blackpool to crown the inaugural champs. And yeah, we did watch the end of that one, where Zach Gibson had, I think it was Tyler Bate up on his shoulders for an electric chair. He was on the outside, and James Drake hit a tope suicida into Tyler Bate to hit the with the, what'd they call it, the hawking animal, what'd they call it, the
Doomsday Device.
There you go, hit the Doomsday Device off of suicida. And then Trent Seven tried to do his suicida to Zach Gibson to get him back, but James Drake caught him in mid-suicida on the outside with a drop kick, leveled him, they threw him back in the ring, and hit the ticket to mayhem. 1, 2, 3. I got the point, nobody else did. And then we moved from there into an honest-to-goodness video package, but it only showed the Grizzled Young Veterans, and then Gallus, and then the South Wales Subculture doing like little promos within the video packages, because this was leading up to Grizzled Young Veterans versus Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews and Mark Coffey and Wolfgang for the titles in the triple threat match at Cardiff. We got to see a little bit of that. But where's Imperium? They mention Imperium just a little bit after they end that match and do a selfie promo for Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews. But that's it. Like they just have them in the graphic. And I'm like, okay, you're trying to set up for the Fatal 4-Way, but we get nothing about Imperium, about Eichner and Bartel. But we got most of it. So it like came off the rails, and then it's like it tilted, the train did, and then it kind of came back and it rocked back into place, and we got to see
it gangster-leaned.
We got to see some pretty good stuff for all 3 of these tag teams. But then it's like, oh, plus now we have the first ever ladder match in NXT UK history, and it's going to be this Fatal 4-Way for the tag team titles, and we also have Imperium. Moving on. Yeah. Your thoughts on this, Colin?
I mean, I really enjoyed that triple threat match from Cardiff.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that match stole the show, in my opinion. So it was cool seeing clips of it, but they don't show. It's just like the cool part in the center. They don't show the end. They don't show the beginning. It's just,
Yeah,
Like, who wants a
we
center
fast
piece of
forwarded through it,
lasagna?
so I don't know
The
what
quarter
they should.
piece is where you want it.
Yeah.
You know? But Imperium, them getting the ball dropped on, them being shown throughout this episode, whatever, it happens. But maybe they're sleeping on them for reasons.
Well, they didn't sleep on Walter in the episode.
I think
it's Walter. He's the champion, le champion. So he's gonna be featured. He better, at least. It's a fucking highlight package, especially after beating Pete Dunne for 685 days.
Mm-hmm.
By himself before Imperium.
Yeah.
What do you think about all the tag team stuff here, Jerry?
Well, I think also the reason why they didn't really have anything with Eichner and Bartel is they're trying to treat them almost like the dark horse in the match. Because if you think about it, like all the other teams in this match have held the gold. So automatically eyes are off Eichner and Bartel.
All the more reason to pump them up a little bit,
No, I think it's the reason. I think they're going to fly under the radar, and that's how they're going to win. Kind of like the South Wales subculture did when they won the belts off of Gallus and the Grizzly Young
Veterans. In the chat room earlier.
Yeah.
So either they win and now everybody's been champ once.
Yeah.
Or Gallus retains, or we get our first ever 2-time champions.
Either way, history is going to be made.
Scott Steiner says we have a 50% chance of getting our first ever 2-time NXT UK Tag Team Champions. Now, if you factor in the possibility of Toni Storm becoming the first ever 2-time Women's Champion, now you've got a 76.67% chance of getting that down. Okay.
Please stand by.
I happen to think they did one thing extremely well in this whole tag team build-up, and that was starting it with the Grizzled Young Veterans doing that promo at the Download Festival because, drum roll, okay, this is the third award that we're giving out this year, the NXTea Party Best Promo of the Year. And it came down close, again, between them and Imperium. But Grizzled Young Veterans pulled it off.
Mm-hmm.
They are our first ever 2-time NXTea Party Best of the Year award winners. So they get Tag Team of the Year and Promo of the Year.
Yep.
Which is really Zach Gibson.
Zach Gibson does all the talking. James Drake stands there and mugs, but it's perfect. It's like watching Jay and Silent Bob with tag belts.
And I honestly feel like NXT UK agreed with us because they showed that graphic for Best of NXT UK's 2019 after they showed the promo that they did at the Download Festival. And I would have to say that might not be their best promo, but it is it's like a very good rendition of their best promo.
I think the best one they actually did was the first one they had as a team when they actually started talking about the whole, tag team belts and how they were going to be the first champions because nobody really bought into it. It's like, who are these guys? Yeah, well,
I did.
Nobody important.
Nobody important, this is true. So we're going to move on from the tag teams to Joe Coffey and Dave Mastiff. Now, they didn't show the awesome Last Man Standing match, which would have been great. Instead, they showed the match prior to it that set up their feud, where I guess Joe hit Mastiff in the liver a bunch, and Mastiff was pounding Joe in the ear a bunch, and they injured each other. And then that set up the Last Man Standing match. And this was clips. This wasn't the match.
That match happened, ironically, while we were in Toronto.
Yeah, we didn't get to cover that one because we were on the road.
Yep.
Again. On the road again. Gonna stumble upon a giant heap of aborted fetuses. And then that leads into a Dave Mastiff selfie promo where he says next year he's going to unleash the proper heavyweight on NXT UK. And I'm like, you haven't already?
It's I can't take the guy seriously anymore. It's almost like Eddie Dennis. Like, anytime we actually start having any faith or any, I'm like, hey, this guy's actually going to finally do some shit, he gets injured.
If I'm going to have faith in anybody to bring a proper heavyweight to NXT UK in 2020, it's going to be Ridge Holland.
Ridge Holland.
Easily. And then
It's because he's got lyrics. There's theme music.
So we go from Joe Coffey and Dave Mastiff to just Dave Mastiff to now Dave Mastiff versus Jordan Devlin. So immediately after doing a promo to put over Dave Mastiff, they show the match where Jordan Devlin beat his ass. Now, let me tell you, they didn't show the whole match, and I wish they had, but just the video recap was enough. And oh my god, I love that match.
That Devlin side suplex at the end where he floats over into the pin, I can't shut up about it.
I can't either, and neither can Jordan Devlin in his selfie promo, now that we're rolling on. And he says he's the human highlight reel, so he has stolen that from, what, Rey Mysterio?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody. Mm-hmm. And he says Tyler Bates' time is over.
Mustache Mountain's time, over. Everything's over.
Everything's over, except Jordan Devlin. Except he is over.
He is over, yeah. And this next year, it won't change a thing because you still not want to bet against the Ace.
So this is basically their mid-card rundown for the year of 2019. And appropriately enough, it ends with Jordan Devlin. And we've been screaming this, but what the fuck are they going to do about it? Now, we had sort of a 7th off-the-cuff poll to see who would get the mid-card title if there was one. Who would be the inaugural champion of your pick in 2020? And by a landslide, of course,
Jordan Devlin.
We had one Dave Mastiff fellow.
Actually, I think two. Colin, didn't you vote for Mastiff too?
No, that was Chad.
Yeah, I know Chad did, but
Chad. No,
shout out to Chad.
How dare you?
I'm so insulted. I'm going to take a sip.
Oh God.
Colin, does Jordan Devlin get a title next year? Be it an astoundingly, finally mid-card title or the NXT UK Championship, or sorry, WWE UK Championship. That's another thing. God, let's not crap on everything.
Honestly, I see him, and even he can do a tag team because he's technically currently Progress Tag Team Champion.
It's true.
And Eddie Dennis is their champion, is Progress's champion, and he beat Walter for it. So, with the help of Andrews. No fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that
he's going to have a belt on regardless.
It's a cop-out. It's a cop-out. You know I meant singles gold, but I'll allow it. Jerry, you think he's getting the title next year?
I think by at least by springtime of next year, we'll have our mid-card title.
Bold prediction.
I want to say by springtime, we will actually get it.
Well,
even if it means bringing the 24/7 belt over there and renaming it.
They're going to swerve us all, and at Worlds Collide, they're going to announce it.
That wouldn't shock me at all. Another UK tournament for the European Championship.
Or maybe
watch it be like a battle royal, and then Alexander Wolf wins that and walks into the 4-on-4 Undisputed Era versus Imperium match that's been announced, and we have all 4 champions versus all 4 champions because Marcel Bartel and Fabian Eichner win the belts at Blackpool 2 on January.
I was about to say, just have him win come over and win the 24/7 belt just for that occasion.
Something.
That'd be perfect. Good idea, Colin.
Sacred.
So we're going to move on from mid-card madness to Ilya Dragunov versus Cesaro at TakeOver Cardiff. And this was, again, just clips, just a way to kind of remind you that Ilya Dragunov's here. Mm-hmm. And later on, they're going to remind you he's got a match next week. But mostly just, hey, Ilya Dragunov, Cesaro fucking endorses him.
Yep. Well, 6 years ago, Cesaro wrestled William Regal in his last match. So it was actually kind of fitting to see Cesaro actually beat Dragunov tonight. So.
Well, I mean, Dragunov has got his problems with Imperium, and he's got all of that going on, but it's kind of taken a back seat to the point to where I feel like that's the reason that the only match we've gotten announced for next week is Ilya Dragunov's match. It's just like, oh, we need to make this seem a little bit important. Because it's really not, because it's not happening at Cardiff. Now, if it leads to something happening at Cardiff, then cool. But other than that, it's an afterthought. And Alexander Wolf might have that problem, except that he is legitimately a fourth member of Imperium, whereas Ilya Dragunov is not a fourth member of Gallus. He's just kind of there.
Yeah.
They have a common enemy.
They're just friends, kind of.
Speaking of Imperium, they won best
theme music
of the year, the NXTea Party Best of the Year award.
Yep, for best theme music. It came down between them and Gallus, but even then, it was Imperium.
I voted for Gallus.
I think technically it's Walter, but when you consider the entrance of all four of them, it's so much more powerful when they do their thing.
Well, you have to think. Oh, well, you probably don't know this either, but when Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel had their tryout matches in Europe, Marcel Bartel actually came out to Symphony Number 7.
So there you go. Let's move on to Noam Dar versus Trent Seven, and they show some footage from just a UK TV episode, and Jerry looked it up, episode 66.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, I mean, it was one of Trent Seven's better matches, sure, but not one of the better matches to close an NXT UK show.
Yeah.
Like, by far, not one of the better. Like, I mean, Cassius Ohno had a 20-minute match with, I can't remember who it was. It wasn't the British Rounds match, but that would have been a better one. Maybe it was.
He had one against Dragunov that was really good.
Yeah, even that.
Because that's one that we actually discussed, because the whole rest of the show was more or less shit. And you're like, now that's a match that I didn't know I needed
to see. Yeah. That should have been the one, not this one. But whatever. Any notes about this recap of the match? No?
No.
So let's move on to the main event. Or not the main event, but the main event, main card.
More or less.
We're talking about Joe Coffey versus Pete Dunne. This is the lead up to take over Blackpool. And then, of course, Pete Dunne retains at Blackpool. And then we see him, I think we see Joe Coffey take the boot from Walter.
Yeah. That happened right after that pay-per-view.
But then we see Walter's debut against Jack Stars. Now, before we get into the part I mentioned earlier with Tom Phillips and Nigel McGuinness, let's just mention we have another announcement.
Yes.
For the NXTea Party End of the Year, Best of the Year award, something like that.
Yeah.
I'll get used to it by next year. I promise. Jobber of the year. Jack Stars. Easily. I think one person said Zaya Brookside. Everybody else is like, it's easily Jack Stars.
It wasn't even just the
because of the ass whipping from Walter.
I was about to say, like, it was from that, but then also if you have watched his other matches, he is a great enhancement talent. You never see him winning, but you know he's going to take a lot of punishment.
He's going to sell it really good.
He's going to sell it very, very well.
He's the Marty Jannetty.
Yes. No, he is the Barry Horowitz. Where eventually he will eventually get his win, and it's going to be against somebody like fucking Noam Dar or somebody who's going to walk in automatically expecting to get
Kenny
a win.
Williams or some shit.
Oh no, it's got to be a heel that's actually either on a roll or somewhat established for it to really mean something.
Yeah,
but
true.
even then, good work, Jack Stars. You won.
Yeah, just from the Walter chop alone that they showed here like 7 times total. Once all the replays were done, including the ones that led to a chop to Tom Phillips' chest. And then we see Walter versus Pete Dunne at NXT UK TakeOver. This was NXT TakeOver New York.
TakeOver Brooklyn. Yeah, not Brooklyn. Yeah, New York.
Yeah, for the UK Championship, where Walter takes it from Pete Dunne by himself. This was before Imperium. But then we see the inception of Imperium in another video package. And them versus British Strong Style. And then we lead into a video recap of Walter versus Tyler Bate from TakeOver Cardiff. Again, these are not matches. These are just clips from those matches. And then a Joe Coffey promo. It was almost like a selfie promo, but it was very obvious he was not holding the camera. It was very still. So I like that. He's a serious guy. And he's seriously talking about a switch. He's going to give Walter a scar, but he's going to take the WWE UK Championship, and he's going to rewrite his own history. because it is literally, I think they said a year to the day between Blackpool 1 and Blackpool 2.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And Blackpool 1 was where he got kicked in the face. And you would think, okay, this is the main event. This is where we end the show. But no, we get a short video promo for next week, Ilya Dragunov versus Alexander Wolf, no disqualification. I'm like, shouldn't you have put that earlier after Cesaro gave him his seal of approval?
The show is kind of weirdly edited together.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we know anything about weird editing together or anything.
Well, again, what's appropriate for their version of the main event with a little bit of icing at the end of the cake, which was not icing, it was just mayonnaise, was the fact that it was
Who
all
puts
built
mayonnaise
around,
on a cake?
It was all built around Walter, but why shouldn't it be?
Philly
He won the
cheesecake.
title, and he has kept it and been dominant, and he won it from the guy that held it for damn near 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
He has been officially the NXT Party male superstar of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get it right someday. Walter, and yeah, he got the votes. Wasn't even close.
No.
There were a few other people. Jordan Devlin got a few votes. I think he got my vote.
Jen wrote in Marcel, but that's just her.
Yep.
So, congratulations to Walter. Congratulations to Jack Stars. Congratulations to the Grizzled Young Veterans ×2.
Yeah.
And Walter's gang using his entrance music to have the entrance of the year. And congratulations, most of all, to the beautiful Rhea Ripley, who is the new NXT Women's Champion and the very first ever NXT Party Woman of the Year.
And she also was the first ever NXT UK Women's
Female
Champion.
Superstar of the Year.
Yeah, so she had a landmark year.
Mm-hmm.
First ever NXT UK and NXT Women's Champion.
We are the blue sprinkles on that Sunday right there.
So join us next week for Ilya Dragunov versus Alexander Wolf in a no disqualification match.
Yeah.
Other than that, that brings us to the end of their main event and the end of the NXT party, I think, really. There's nothing more to talk
for the
about.
year, yeah.
Yeah, so any thoughts about the last year of NXT UK? Let's start with Colin.
Well, like we've discussed before, they need a mid-card title because there's a lot of talent just floating around with nothing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that really needs addressed and established in 2020. The tag team division needs a little bit of work. They have 3 really good teams, don't get me wrong, but you just can't have those 3 in a cycle, Same thing with the women's division, I guess. Build a few more stars up, but I see some new people coming in, so we'll see what they can do. I'm hoping to see people that have been around a little longer, hopefully get a little more of a break in 2020. But in 2019, I enjoyed the product. It did get a little bit stale sometimes, but I wish they would stop filming so far ahead. Seeing 4 shows in the same building, that shit gets leaked. We know what's happening weeks ahead of time. Just scrolling through Twitter, or like the whole Alexander Wolf joining Imperium thing.
Oh my god, that was brutal.
Motherfucker posted it himself on his own Twitter like 20 minutes after it happened. Like, fuck you. So a little bit of work on that would be dope. But no, I'm happy with it. It's been fun. I got to do this shit all year with you guys, so
Mm-hmm.
Good times had by all.
Any bold predictions for 2020 NXT UK?
I see a new mid-card champion. I see the UK championship changing hands at least twice for some stupid reason. Someone beating Walter and maybe Walter getting it back or something like that. But I just, see something happening like that. And I don't know, I'm just, for some reason, I just have a feeling a big name is either going to come in from like the indies, or someone's going to jump ship from main roster or NXT and go back to NXT UK. A big name, because we need someone to come in big that's coming after Walter, because really besides Joe Coffey, Jordan Devlin, and maybe Dave Mastiff right now, you can count Tyler Bate, but he has already had his shot. You don't really have anywhere else for him to go. against. You know what I mean? So we need someone brought in to tame Walter. So I don't know who, but maybe Sheamus. But he's getting all these. It'd be dope if it was Sheamus, to be honest with you.
Or hell, Drew McIntyre at this point.
But he's getting all these new vignettes on SmackDown, so it would be Sheamus. But no, so some big name's going to come back and help boost the brand because they need it a little bit, in my opinion. You've lost Pete Dunne, you've lost Rhea Ripley, and then, you know, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see in just about a week. So
I think what they need in 2020 is to build a Full Sail arena at their performance center, and that would allow them to go live every week, and then you can put them on the same scale as NXT, where stars like Finn Balor came back to NXT. Yeah, he did, but he came back to a live product.
Yeah,
he's not
that's
taking
true.
a pay cut. He's not getting into a product that is going to be leaked on the internet a week or 2 or 3 before the big thing that he did to close the show that everybody watched 4 hours of last month.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
At the very least, NXT could do a 2-hour show and record 2 weeks worth, and then 2 weeks later do another 2-hour show. So at the most, you have 1 week of show that gets leaked.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, that might be the big angle, but it'd be better than nothing. But I think what they really need is their own Full Sail arena in England, wherever that fucking performance center is. That way you can do the show every week, and you can actually bring in what about both Sheamus and Drew McIntyre?
Mm-hmm.
Be awesome, because then you would have the thing like, okay, so if Drew McIntyre can take it from Walter, then now who the fuck can take it from Drew McIntyre? Then Sheamus shows up, and he's a little bit smaller, I think, so he takes it from Drew McIntyre, and now it's like, okay, now you've got Jordan Devlin somehow beats Sheamus. Some shit like that, you know, you could go anywhere with that if you've got enough big guys to move around. But I feel like the problem
the
with
next year of NXT UK, make it happen.
with one big guy coming in to defeat Walter, it's like, okay, well, now where do you go from there? Jerry, your thoughts about 2019?
I wasn't disappointed at all. Like, the second we started covering NXT UK and got the ball rolling on it, I was really pleased with the product. Yeah, it has its off nights, but it's only because sometimes we just get those 3 or 4 warm-up matches for, like, you know, one show. And then we get the mid-card on next show, and then we'll get, like, 2 or 3 main event caliber matches like that, that show after that. So the way the cards are stacked are really weird. But touching on a little bit what Colin said was, I want to see maybe some more, not really enhancement talent, but like a lesser known talent come in, and then that way we'll get a push on the people that have been here over a year and a half. Make them a little more established, make them official NXT UK superstars versus, you know, jobber fodder.
Right.
Maybe Isla Dawn will actually start winning matches. You know, maybe Zaya Brookside will team up with Candy Floss, and they'll do something together. That'd be cool. But a bold prediction of mine, and it's extremely bold because I don't think it's going to happen, but it'd be cool to actually get it documented on tape for if it does. I could actually see a coup in Imperium and Walter get kicked out at some point. And maybe if they actually sent him the right contract or gave him the right perks, maybe bring in Tim Thatcher as an opponent for Walter. Since he's got the history with ring comp and everything,
and he takes the leadership spot.
Mm-hmm. And that way you actually have United Kingdom established talent, former champion for Evolve, Progress, whatever. But at the same time,
That's a bold move there, Cotton.
But that'd be interesting for me. But at the same time, if they keep the roster they have now, just beef it up a little bit. Even adding a couple of guys from NXT if they need to, like Shane Thorne, I think would actually benefit better at NXT UK. And also, God, I'm already forgetting his name again. Big guy, looks almost like an Australian Mastiff.
Bronson Reed.
Bronson Reed.
Yeah. Andrade's fat brother.
Yeah, have him and Mastiff team up in NXT UK. There's another tag team for you.
Thick mass.
Well, thick Mastiff.
For me, 2019 NXT UK was better than where I was at this point last year in NXT UK. But it was a fresh product, and we were in the middle of doing 2 episodes a show.
Oh my God, yes.
And it was like, and it's still going nowhere. At least we have seen some long-term storylines. We've seen some big maneuvers in Walter and Imperium. Some actual stuff that we remember as I have stars that I know their theme music when it comes on. I know who's coming out. I'm finally let this product get a hold of me. And I'm hoping in 2020 it grows on me. My bold prediction for 2020 is, like I said, a Full Sail University at the Performance Center, NXT UK, so they can hold their own shows in their own location and do it on a weekly basis.
They can still do touring and everything and possibly film shows on that just with talent that they're not using on those shows.
Sure, they've got 6 other days that week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2020, I'm looking forward to that. That would be the legitimizing of their business, because they're not going to be successful looking like a main product the way they tour. It's just not going to happen. But they can at least look like NXT, and NXT now is a main product.
Support, no DQ.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of the NXT Party. Thank you for joining us. And thanks up here to the big guy for the 2nd time in a row. Thank you, Colin, for joining us.
No problem.
You have plugs, right?
Wait, Tom, a second time. We are consummate professionals.
You have plugs, right, Colin? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, man. You can follow my YouTube channel. You know, I do things over there besides just right here. It's the Cleaver Colin Andrew. Follow me there for prime cuts and the chopping block. And something new coming in 2020. And yeah, spoiler alert. You can find me on Twitter at NoDQ Colin Andrew. And you can follow me on Instagram at Colin26Andrew. So thanks for having me, boys. Cheers to 2020. Appreciate it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's where you can find me. Click the subscribe button on my channel because I have 37, and if I can get up to
37
in a row.
But yeah, click the subscribe button, share button, all that stuff, and show me some love.
In a row. So yeah, thank you for being on. So follow Colin, and Colin's been doing this all year, guys. You guys could too in 2020 if you want to join us. I want to say thank you to Chris Mace and Chris Willis, to Cindy G, to Owen Finch, to James Hebert, to King Evan Francis, to Jeff Meacham, and I know I'm forgetting somebody.
The Simple Man, Noah Foster.
Our foster child.
Our foster child. Jerry's kid.
Well, I forget because WWE has forgotten 205 Live exists too.
It's not even pre-show anymore.
So the biggest thanks to Noah Foster, because honestly, Noah Foster has been our buddy in a pinch.
Yeah.
But then there's also that big thanks to Chris and how could I forget the Griff, Mark Griffith, the newest member of the NXT team. Some of these guys come in a pinch and they take notes without knowing whether or not they're going to be on the show. They do it anyway, and that's crazy. And we're talking about you, Mark. We also want to thank Israel Diaz, who is our greatest fan that's never been on the show.
Yes.
Leaves comments all the time, always inspiring us and helping us get through all the troll bullshit. That's Israel for us. We love you, man. And I want to say thank you to Jerry. I want to say thank you to everybody out there that watches the show. This is going to be our last NXT party for the year, so there you go.
And thank you, Vigo the Carpathian, for filling in for me.
Filling in when necessary, man. He doesn't say a lot, but he takes up that general area.
To do videos with.
Sexy beast is what he is. Sometimes I wonder if he's just going to take my chair over completely.
Well, he's good at taking up negative space.
Still frame, for sure.
I'm good being a negative person.
So thank you to everybody, and Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, cheerful Kwanzaa, and a Happy Festivus and Saturnalia to everybody out there.
And Boxing Day today in Canada.
Boxing Day.
Yes. So,
to our great White North friends.
If you want to join us up on the big screen, you can find me on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN. Or if you just want to look me up on Twitter, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. As always, the R stands for restricted. You can also find the gentleman on Twitter.
At Gerald_JSJ, my Facebook group, Armbar, all capital ARMBAR.
Exclamation point!
There you see it, folks, the new exclamation point. And it floats.
That's one of the years.
It's magic.
It floats. It's one of like magic eye things. You stare at it long enough, it's still an exclamation point.
So that covers Twitter and Facebook. You can find us on Instagram now.
Because he put the other one for us.
Yeah, aftermatch_wrestling. That's where you'll find Colin doing our Instagram thing. Because I have an Instagram at osborne.stefan, but I don't do anything. But if you want to follow me, that'd be cool. I think it's funny. I won't clog up your newsfeed, I promise you that.
I will.
And we're hopefully going to have merch coming this next year.
That's probably why he's gotten like 4 times the amount of followers that my Instagram has on Aftermatch.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you actually care about the show. If you do care about the show and you have the means to help, you can find me on Patreon now if you want to contribute. But if you just have a few seconds, what you can do for us for free, if you like the show, click the like button. That's over here underneath me. If you like all the shows, do yourself a favor. Click the subscribe button. And the bell icon will let you know when all our shows go up so you can watch them. But if you want to help our channel grow, click that share button. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Share it with your friends. If they like watching wrestling, they might like watching us bullshit about wrestling. And I say all those things, and it's the same tired shtick because I'm used to it. But honestly, yeah, if you have a few seconds, share that with your friends because we're trying to help this channel grow. And if you could help us help the channel, that would be so awesome.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be an awesome Festivus gift.
Mm-hmm.
Festivus for the rest of us. I think that's all the plugs.
Yeah.
For the Cleaver, Colin Andrew. For the General, Jerry Slaughter. I'm the Wizard of No DQ, Stefan Osborne. Thank you for having a spot of NXT with us, and we will see you in NXT time.
Support No DQ!
Exclamation point! And our exclamation point illustrator, he's got a whole bunch of plugs he needs to do real quick. Usually we have the guest.
I was going to lead into that. You should let me take the wheel. I was going to go right into the Instagram and then the Instagram into him because he runs the Instagram.
He runs the Instagram page.
And then let him do his plugs.
Aftermatch_wrestling.
If you'd given me 27 more seconds, I would have had all that done. In the meantime...
That's what she said.
Support No DQ!
NXT
Mazel
year.
tov, bitches.
And we will see you NXT year.